What's going on, people? Welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well. I really do hope that, viewer/listener. Welcome back to Chelsea News, of course, the daily series here on Football Therapy, where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it, more importantly, asking for yours. Lots, of course, happening in regards to Chelsea Football Club at the moment, the ownership, the uncertainty, the players, so much shifting. But I feel like we've gone through the worst. I feel like we've hit the bottom and now we're climbing, and there should be some positive news, as you've probably watched my last upload regarding how Roman has seemingly agreed to the situation, that the desperate situation where he pretty much has to relieve everything of Chelsea, just agree to a sale, not fight the UK government with any types of legal force, which he probably could have attempted to, due, with his sheer financial might, but he wants to protect his Chelsea legacy, and with that, he's gonna, if you love her, let her go kind of vibe. We're going to be covering Romelu Lukaku today. We're going to be covering what next for Chelsea and what's happening at the moment. I'm citing articles from The Telegraph, but first, take a second and check this out. Security, protection, freedom, and expansion. Welcome to the world of VPNs. Most of you will know about virtual private networks, but for those of you who don't know, this is the future and the present. So a big thank you to Surfshark for continuing on our partnership, so I have the ability to offer you, my viewers, an incredible deal. A VPN moves your identity from one place to another, and that can help you protect your valuable data by preventing cyber criminals being able to get your personal details, because you'll always have that safeguard of your IP address being bounced around. This sounds technical, it's not. Surfshark is really simple and easy to use. You can use it on all devices, and it's not just about data protection. Sometimes you want to access content that says it's not available in your country. You can just move your location to said country, and then it will unlock the piece of content you want to watch. Suddenly you can watch that sports video you were wanting to watch. Incredible scenes. And it's not just about unlocking individual pieces of content like that. You can shift your device's location on entire platforms, like Netflix. You can move over from the UK Netflix over to the American Netflix, which of course has loads of different shows and movies available, and now you can access all of that as well with Surfshark. So you get the data protection, you get the media unlocking, and of course you get this sort of content expansion. Use my code FOOTBALL on Surfshark by clicking the link down in the description, and you can have 83% off. That's a whopping deal, 83% off, as well as 3 months free, just because you're one of my viewers, just by using my code FOOTBALL on Surfshark. So make sure you do click the link down in the description now, use that code, and take advantage of this fantastic deal. Peace! Woo! Do go click the link in the description to check out Surfshark now, an amazing deal. Let's talk about Chelsea. Right, let's start off with Romelu Lukaku. Of course, there were headlines, tweets, stuff, news reports suggesting that, and you can forgive Chelsea fans for believing this, that he was willing to take a pay cut to see himself return to Inter Milan. Of course, they wouldn't be able to afford his current wage packet. Cynical, suggesting that maybe he doesn't want to stay in this difficult, turbulent time at Chelsea, and to be honest, it's seeming like he might have not wanted to stay prior to all this, and then maybe a lot of Chelsea fans wouldn't be sad to see him go. I'm sure I'm talking to a lot of you viewing this right now. But apparently that's not the case, and I'm going to read you an article from The Telegraph, a wonderful source of information throughout these interesting and turbulent times for Chelsea Football Club, by Jason Burt. Romelu Lukaku angered by claims he will take a pay cut to force his way out of Chelsea. Let's find out. Romelu Lukaku has no intention of quitting Chelsea and returning to his former club, Inter Milan, on loan. Okay. The striker has been left angered by claims in Italy that he wants out of Chelsea after the club's future was thrown into turmoil by the sanctions imposed on Roman Abramovich. It is understood that Lukaku is appalled by the speculation, and instead believe it is time for everyone at Chelsea to stick together, whether Abramovich owns the club or not. Okay, it goes on to talk about Chelsea spending a lot of money on Romelu Lukaku. It was suggested that Lukaku's desire to leave has been strengthened by the events in recent weeks. Instead, Lukaku intends to stay and has been left upset by suggestions that he is attempting to exploit the crisis at Chelsea, and he said he's got no intention of turning his back, on the club. Along with other players, the Belgium international has been assured by the club that they are working hard to stabilise the situation and minimise the impact of the sanctions and the sale as much as possible. It goes on to talk about his relationship with Inter, and of course that the fabled, not aforementioned, but the fabled interview with Sky Italia. Now, hold on. I feel a little bit sorry for Romelu Lukaku, man. And yes, a lot of you might be shocked to hear that. I feel like he did a madness with the interview. I do think it was a moment of idiocy rather than an active assertion of disrespect to Chelsea. And I genuinely think he has an affinity for Chelsea despite loving Inter. And that's always been the case. Self-proclaimed long-term Chelsea fan. Idolise his big brother figure in Didier Drogba. The hark back to look who's back hashtag and him visiting Stamford Bridge as a young teenager just saying I will play here one day. I do believe that's all still true. I just think he arrived at Chelsea with this massive ego because he'd been so good for that 2 years for both Inter and Belgium, scoring incredible goals and, being so effective, and then just having a real sobering reality check at Chelsea. And by the way, still scoring a few goals in between at Chelsea. And then obviously sitting on the bench, and then, he can't feel good sitting on the bench against Norwich and coming on for the last 5 minutes, even though he looked pretty good, as he did last time, looking like pretty good off the bench. If he can sort out his ego and just be like, you know what, we are together, Kai's scoring goals, I've been pretty good when I've come on, let's just get through this together, let's be Chelsea. Maybe he does love Chelsea and, we are to believe this statement and, look, no, I'm not, The thing is, if someone said to him, alright, you can just reverse the decision, go back to Inter and carry on playing with Lautaro, would you do it? There's a good chance, especially after what's happened, he'd say yes. But before the interview, I don't think he would have said yes. Or, before the interview came out, when he just scored in those consecutive games. If he said you can go back now and reverse it, I don't know that he would. Maybe he would, but I don't know. I wanted to reference that article because I thought it was interesting. Anyway, let's talk about the next story, and this is an extract from another Telegraph article. This one written by Ben Rumsey. I can't remember who wrote the last one. It might have been the same journalist. Whoopsie, or not. And this is regarding to the news, the Premier League announcement that Roman Abramovich has been disqualified from owning Chelsea by the Premier League. So what? And also we've had some. Our match day costs have been granted. Was originally granted $500,000, it's been doubled to nearly $1 million, which needed to happen. Right, you're probably thinking, right, what does this mean? We know Roman's already given the green light for the sale, we know he's been sanctioned by the government, and we know his assets have been frozen. So what is this? Maybe it's a bit of a formality, but it's an important one. So let's read into it and find out what's going on here. Roman Abramovich has been disqualified by the Premier League from owning Chelsea after being sanctioned by the government over Russia's invasion of Ukraine, as revealed by the Telegraph Sport, the world's richest league, which of course they are, announced the news on Saturday, forcing him to follow through with his promise to sell the club. That's important, forcing him to follow through with the sale rather than you can't have anything to do with the sale. It was very much like a strong arm opportunity to be like, frozen, mate, this is being sold and you're definitely not getting any money, which is what we Chelsea fans and the general public were set to believe anyway. So not much has changed there, but it's really the government forcing, their own authority on the whole situation, I suppose. Abramovich's disqualification comes 2 days after the government granted a license allowing Chelsea to continue operating while he remained sanctioned. That license was amended on Saturday, this is important, almost doubling the amount they are allowed to spend on the match day costs from $500,000 to $900,000, so nearly doubling it. And Chelsea says, look, it's between 800,000 and a million this is going to cost us. So they've obviously gone to the average. All right, you can have 900k. There's a lot of things that have been amended or are subject to being amended in these limitations throughout the sanctions. Like, the travelling costs was limited at 20k when, just to go up to Norwich it costs like 40 or 50k, let alone, travelling to Champions League clubs in Europe. So whether that's been changed already, I think that's what we're to believe, that will be increased as well. The Premier League said in a statement, quote, "Following the imposition of sanctions by the UK government, the Premier League board has disqualified Roman Abramovich as director of Chelsea Football Club." Quote, "The board's decision does not impact the club's ability to train and play its fixtures as set out on the terms of the licence issued by the government, which expires the 31st of May 2022. The Premier League confirmed the disqualification, easy for me to say, of an owner would normally trigger the sale of their shareholding. Under the league's rules, Chelsea have 28 days to ensure Abramovich does so. But Telegraph Sport has been told this will not be enforced if the planned takeover proceeds but takes longer to complete." I think what we can learn from this is there is a lot of leniency, and ultimately, seemingly, the government want what's probably good for Chelsea fans as well as them. You don't want to upset Chelsea fans in terms of, perhaps doing some form of rebellion against the government. I know people think of Chelsea fans in the UK as like working class, and there is many, but there is also a lot of Tory Chelsea fans as well. Southwest London, rich place, rich locale. There'll be Boris Johnson and the government, the Tories, the Conservatives, won't want to upset voters, which is cynical but true. And he's a populist manager. He just won't want a prime minister. He'll want it to go smoothly, as will the government. They don't want people out of jobs. So they want Roman to be like, yeah, sell it, which he has said, go see my last upload. And they want it to be like, everyone keeps their jobs, fans don't have their club affected. We want new ownership in. And we also want them to still function, hence these, certain limitations being loosened. More funds allowed for a match day, presumably more funds allowed for away days and travel and stuff like that. Even these deadlines of, you got to do this by then, or the club's got to be sold by then, they'll be extended, provided it looks like everything's going okay and owners coming in, but there's like admin, there's all formalities, they're not going to be like an iron fist with that stuff. It's going to be like, okay, let's get this done. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm doing so much content at the moment, 1 or 2 videos a day. You can keep up to date with all the information that's constantly changing by making sure you're subscribed and clicking that bell notifications icon. And also, I would urge you to drop a like to help me out a lot, because that's kind of you. Remember, check out Surfshark, man. Click the link in the description and go and get that fantastic deal if you're yet to have a VPN. See you very soon. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I love me, bitch.